next. But first, I did want to point out, people obviously confused and upset. We went into closed session under 551.071, which is consultation with the board's attorney. Mr. Green's objection was on 551.074, which doesn't apply. I understand the laws are confusing, so I wanted to be able to point that out.
I would like to object to that right now and call for the Texas Attorney General to open an investigation into McKinney ISD School Board Administration for violating the Open Meetings Act, specifically for within the board has ignored over my protests, and Mr. Hassler has said they will agree to disagree over this. This has been violated in at least the last 3 board meetings.
Yeah. Next on our agenda is discussion, public comment, and we did have 2 on non-agenda items, so obviously we're going to add those in also here. Each speaker will be provided 1 minute to address the board, as there are more than 10 speakers today. I have the timer here, you see the timer there, so everybody is aware of how that works. I always pull forward students, but I don't think we have any students that signed up to speak. Oh, sorry. All right, I'll look through. Is Luke speaking? Okay. We have 2 students speaking? Okay. And they marked it students on, all right, I'm sorry, I'll look through that list. Okay, I appreciate that, thank you very much. All right, back to this. We know that members of the audience sometimes wish to express their support for a speaker as saying, and if I say afterwards, please raise your hand if you're in agreement. Know that I'm not making anybody raise their hand. If you'd like to raise your hand to show agreement, please feel free to do that. If you're uncomfortable, no, you don't have to do that. We ask that you show your support by raising your hand, but again, you don't have to do that. Please be aware that disruptive behavior such as yelling or calling out from the audience will not be tolerated in the meeting. This will be considered your notification of this. So I'm saying we have to act polite to each other, basically, and don't disrupt the meeting. That's against the law in the state of Texas. This is a meeting held in public, not a public meeting. If you're escorted out, then you can't come back on any of our campuses. And really almost everyone that's been escorted out doesn't have kids in our district, with the exception, I believe, of the one person chose to bring them. But other than that, it hasn't really affected parents that want to attend their kids' stuff. So please be aware that this is a criminal offense for a person with intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting, to subsequently obstruct or interfere with the ordinary conduct of the meeting. Comments by meeting attendees not signed up to speak at the podium will be considered a disruption of the meeting. In other words, we want your input, but we need to do this in a safe and orderly fashion. You all look like respectful individuals, and I don't expect that we'll have any further issues. Another couple things I'd like to touch on before we open this up. We did receive, I think I got 2 emails about concerns of the time of the meeting, and I got back with those people and showed them online, or pointed out that online, with the exception of our specially called meetings that are joint city council meetings, these special meetings are all during the day, or the vast majority of them are during the day. And I know a couple of people were concerned, they didn't like the fact that we were here at 9. I was really surprised. I found 3 that started at 7:30 in the morning. So that's kind of ridiculous, but let me think, what else? I want to say just a little bit about safety too. Please know that we as a school board, nobody operates independently. We're a body corporate, and our continue to support our SRO officers. This is a hard, important job. I don't want anybody to be concerned about that because of recent events at our meetings. We are in support of our SROs. We stand with the McKinney Police. We're proud of them. We're thankful that we have them involved. We honor them during the school year. I just want you not to be concerned about our opinion of them or how we treat them, because we understand the importance of that job. And that came up in a couple emails about safety. All right, pull out the kids. Thank you very much. So we have, are these two speaking together? Okay, well, they can stand up there. Also, forgot about this. It was my hope that we would next month go to doing this online. That's why we didn't pay for more forms. So if you don't have a copy, we made a copy for you. Then we realized that to change it to the online system, we have to change board policy, and so we will have to put that before the board at the June meeting. So hopefully next school year, all of this will take place online. You'll sign up ahead of time, come in, show your ID that matches your form, and speak. When students come up to speak, we do not want them to give their address. So other than that, we'd like you to give your address before you speak. All right, first of all, we have Shelby and Colton. Honey, there's a color-coded thing there, and it'll turn to yellow when your time is almost up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Colton, and I'll be a freshman at McKinney High in the fall. Outside of school, I'm a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo and a two-time regional and a two-time national champion. Part of being a black belt and a champion is others look up to me both in and out of the dojo. I am a role model of the tenets and look up the Taekwondo student oath to show integrity and to never misuse knowledge and power. In much the same way, my students and parents look up to the board of trustees to model their oaths and district policies. To show integrity is to display honesty and trustworthiness, and a firm commitment to a code of moral values. I may just be a kid, but to break laws and to encourage parents to go around the district policies to promote racism and disrespect to others and the board members. This is the exact opposite of integrity and a deliberate misuse of power. Mr. Green's behaviors are not actions to be trained in. These are not the behaviors I or other children should be shown as the way to act. I believe Mr. Green should be resigned or be removed as a trustee. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. If you're in agreement with his statements, please feel free to raise your hand. Thank you very much. And that was is Shelby. Oh, you're inside of those parents. Thank you very much. All right, our next student is Lucy Elliott. Welcome, Lucy.
I pledge to do my best for RJEI, show respect for my community, my school, and myself. I am a responsible student and I am a problem solver. I act in such a way that I'm proud of myself and others are proud of me too. I'm unique, I'm a winner. I am a Johnson Jagger. Why is this administration for this school district struggling with respect towards Mr. Chagrin? Mr. Chagrin is 100% for this school board. He was voted in by the people for the people. He not being allowed into closed sessions is not correct. I am a problem solver. As a problem solver, I am doing and recommend how to solve this problem. I encourage you to stop breaking the law.
Thank you.
address is 1431 FM 1566, Greenville, Texas. There's a battle over the children of this country, and the sides are not Democrat and Republican, liberal or conservative. While there are physical players, this battle is a spiritual one, and everyone in this room will choose a side if you haven't already. Jesus has always been on the side of children. He said they always have a way to him and the Father. Now, I do not presume to know any of you well, but even if I did, only God can truly know your hearts. But I do know that regardless of what you believe, you were created in the image of the Most High God, and you are all loved. I implore you to make and keep the children who are in your care safe, to do everything in your power to keep them safe from images and ideas that are seeking to corrupt their innocence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you're in agreement with her comments, please feel free to raise your hand. Our next speaker is McKinney. Welcome, Whitney.
Thank you. Whitney Kenny, 1704 Greenville, Texas. My family is a victim of exposure. Last October, my 10-year-old child was arrested because he acted on explicit content that he was exposed to. My child was the youngest child to be admitted to the Collin County Juvenile Detention Center and the youngest child admitted for a sex crime. Collin County Juvenile Probation told my husband and I that a majority of the kids being arrested in Collin County for sex crimes are kids who have been exposed and are acting on that exposure. These children, whose brains are still learning and differentiating between reality and fantasy, they're just, what they see is what they act on. We used to act out Star Wars, and they're being exposed to much worse. The mayor, our mayor, and the McKinney ISD board, with the exception of Chad Green, have looked the other way as we, the people of McKinney, have asked and begged and pleaded for these materials to be removed. Your actions in trying to silence Mr. Green is evidence of your position regarding this topic. I can't reclaim my child's innocence, but I can stand in solidarity with Mr. Green and fight to protect the innocence of the children in my neighborhood and community.
Thank you. If you're in agreement, next we have Rachel McManus. Rachel, come on down.
Today is not about books.
Sorry, could you please state your address first?
I live here in McKinney. The address on the form is correct. I can show you my license.
Okay.
Today is not about books, CRT, child safety, grooming, or any of that. We are here because Chad Green has violated election and education code, district policy, and the board's own code of ethics. These are the findings of the independent counsel Mr. Green himself wanted public, though it seems to be more than what he bargained on. His ignorance of the rules he swore to uphold is no excuse. What example does Mr. Green's behavior set for the district students? Do we send the message that it's okay to neglect your responsibilities, disrespect your colleagues, and act dishonestly? Should a man make excuses for himself like a petulant schoolboy? I urge Mr. Green to do the right thing and admit that he can no longer effectively serve this district. To be a trustee, you must guard the trust of the people you work for and the people you work with, and that trust has been lost.
Thank you very much. If you're in agreement with her comments, please feel free to raise your hand. Our next speaker is David Kemp. Welcome, David.
David Kemp, 505 Elm Street. Hard to tell, I'm hard to be from the microphone here. In this whole exercise, I'm reminded of the Dr. Seuss book about the Sneetches and how they would persecute those that are different from them. And it was a matter of bullying and persecution, and it was a bad thing. It was a waste of time and energy, and it kind of brought a downfall of that society. You and the cult of the school board are pursuing a strategy of bullying against Chad Green because he is different. Chad doesn't look like you, doesn't dress like you, doesn't talk like you, doesn't think like you. And so you hate him. You literally hate him. So you and the cult are going to ridiculous lengths to try to silence Chad and remove Chad from the cult. You should be so, so ashamed.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Patrick Childs. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you. Morning, Board. Good morning, all the community people here. I'm speaking on behalf,
Could you state your address, please?
I'm sorry,
Could you state your address?
I'm sorry, Patrick Child, 2417 Stonewall Drive, Plano, Texas.
Thank you.
I've spoken at the Plano Board before, and it's amazing how many things seem to be similar, spilling over from one board to the next. But I just want to state today, I'm speaking for Chad Green and also in support of the lawsuit. Something's gone wrong with our system in terms of freedom of speech and our liberties and our freedoms today. His transgression seems to be that he spoke at a rally and he also held up a sign. How in the world that doesn't fit the profile of being able to have freedom of expression, I don't get it. That is a big concern of mine. You know, I just want to sit there and say, really? You know, that's why we want to get him off the board? Please. This seems to be the tactic of Saul Alinsky and Marxist Democrat ideas of let's find somebody, let's target them, let's isolate them, and then let's cancel them. This has got to stop if we as a society are going to continue in a productive manner.
Thank you. If you're in agreement with his statements, please feel free to raise your hand. Our next speaker is Candace Russell. Welcome, Candace.
Thank you. Candace Russell, 2800 Cliffview Drive in McKinney. First of all, I just want to let each of you know that I'm grateful for you and your service to our children's community. Each of you are valuable and needed. Racism is never okay, and being accused of racism is extremely serious. During the last school board meeting, I was stunned to hear the board president accuse Mr. Green of racism. While those other than school board members weren't privy to what was written on the much discussed poster, I assumed it was horrible based upon the discussion and the accusation. Even though Mr. Green explained that he was merely seeking shade under the poster since he was overheating, I was deeply disappointed that he would be seen with it. The day after the meeting, I asked in a Facebook group what was written on the sign. The photo of Mr. Green holding the poster was shared, and it read, McKinney School Board refuses to pull the porn. Larry Jowers and Harvey Oyaka step up. The explanation given was that these were new school board members, not as deeply ingrained in the body corporate that we've heard about numerous times. The hope was that they would speak up or take action regarding the books. That made a lot of sense, and honestly, even without that info, I was dumbfounded that a person.
Thank you very much. If you're in agreement with our comments, please feel free to raise your hand. Our next speaker is Ronald Beaver. Welcome, Ronald.
Roland.
Pardon me?
Roland?
Roland.
Yeah. And my address is correct on the paper. You see that?
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. The reason why I'm here is to warn the 6 of you again, being I'm here for Chad Green. In Luke 17:1-4, it says you must forgive if somebody sins against you 7 times. And what I saw on 17 was Chad wanted to, apologize. Matthew 5:9 says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the sons of God. The only one who's been peaceful here has been Chad Green. You other 6 have not. You've attacked it from day one. Matthew 18:15 says, take it to your brother one-on-one if he has an issue. A board member admitted Chad Green goes up to you one-on-one when he has issues. Have any of you gone up to him one-on-one with this issue? I don't think so, because you haven't said so. Matthew 7:1-3 says, you'll be judged as you judge. We see how you're judging. God will hold you accountable, and he will judge you accordingly. Remember that.
Thank you very much. If you're in our next speaker is Jim Irwine. Welcome, Jim.
You know, I've been up here several times, and
Jim,
Couple of-
could you please state your address?
3797 Bridal Bend, Prosper, Texas. A couple times I've encouraged you guys to inhale God and exhale fear to help you make good decisions. And the more I watch this group, with the exception of Mr. Green, you seem to be inhaling Satan and exhaling courage. You know, life is all about honoring the Lord. That's what it is. This is not honoring the Lord at all. There's no reason for you guys to be trying to point Mr. Green out here for something that he hasn't done. Mr. Jacob, however you say it, Larry, I've contacted you. None of you guys have the courage to step up and do the right thing. I just want to encourage you to do that. It's not that hard here. This is such a dishonor to our Lord. It's just shameful. Thank you.
Jim, thank you for your comments. Teresa Bieber? Welcome, Teresa.
My name is Teresa Beber. I'm at 3813 Hickory Bend Trail. On May 17th at 11 o'clock, I watched the school board on live session. I heard one board member quote, "hundreds of emails I haven't read yet." That wasn't Chad Green. Another referring to another board member, other board members as quote unquote, "the only board members who are not white," end quote. Not only once, but twice.